And we are back with the SCX24. And over the past couple of days, or the past week or two, it has undergone some changes because the second ESC/receiver seems to have gone bad. The first one, the steering got all wonky and the throttle was just glitching back and forth. So I replaced the ESC and I fixed it until some time later, till it broke again like 2 weeks ago. I looked it up, found some answers on Reddit. Some guy said replace the batteries in the remote, which did fix the throttle problem, but it didn't fix the steering problem. In fact, the steering went out altogether when I replaced the batteries. So instead of getting another one of these that have now failed twice, although I don't think this one's failed terribly yet, I got here. Oh my lord. There. A separate ESC and receiver. Instead of them being in one box, they're now separate pieces. Here's the ESC. It's an Endura MB100. I went in for Endura parts because they seem to be pretty good. Or, well, yeah. This is also all aluminum too, which is pretty cool. Handles up to 3S LiPo. I don't think it will on the original motor though. 6-volt Beck. Overall seems pretty good. And an Endura kitties here. T8 DC. I don't know if that's the model number of it, but receiver. Some lights are unplugged because the cable is so short. Kitty, get out of there. And with that new receiver, I got this Endura T6 remote, which is actually pretty nice. I like it so far. As you can see, the steering knob here fits perfectly for my hand, and it's very solid. There are notches that it slips to in here, so you can adjust where it is. And there's, I can easily lock out the steering, which I really like. And, well, it also just kind of looks nice. And which I think is better than this thing that just slips around. And the motion is a lot, which I guess is good for precision. But honestly, I do prefer this. This feels really nice. I might, this is making me think about replacing the remote for my TRX4 because this, this was like a Beyblade type thing, but for wheels. I don't really know. But the problem with this one is the fact that the steering trim is right here, and my thumb constantly touches it and adjusts the steering when I don't want to. So it's making me think maybe I should replace the remote for my TRX4. This one's really nice. It feels really nice. Now about the rest of the changes, the big bore shocks are being replaced. Partially because, well, I'm not a huge fan of them. And with these new flex extenders, the big boreness of them won't fit in here. In this gap here. Especially not with those brass pieces on the end there. They just don't fit in there. And, they are also bigger than the stock ones, which made this truck way too tall. If you remember, it was jacking the truck up so far, instead of the suspension being straight up and down, the front was going backwards a little bit. Right? I mean, for the rear suspension, for it to be, at an angle like this on the rear is fine, but the front, it's probably also fine. But I didn't like the look of it. I think it was too tall. It was just too much. So these are 40mm big bore shocks. The original shocks are 37mm. So I got, those are coarse screws, screw into plastic. One of the reasons I wanted to replace the shocks was so I can screw them into the aluminum axles. So I got these, but I got something to replace the replacements. That will be even better. And funnily enough, they're actually shorter than the original shocks, which I think will be fine. A little bit. These are 32 millimeter internal spring shocks, and if I'll be dipped, they appear to be the same length as the stock ones, so that should be nice. Another problem with the big bore shocks was I put 10 weight oil in them. I think it should have been way less with these, with the little holes in the shocks in there. Well, I'm not sure what that plate would be called. There's a plate that lets the oil through. I think 10 weight is too much for those little holes. And the suspension will either get stuck, one of them would get stuck up here. This one, once you first compress it, kind of gets stuck at the bottom, although my TRX4 has that same problem. I think that might just be from it's squeezing all the oil away from here and being on top. Stiffening it up a little bit. See, them being stuck at the bottom is not a huge deal. Just like compress them once or twice and they're fine. And then you can go on crawling. Yep, this one got stuck at the bottom a little bit. Although it's not getting stuck now because there's no weight on it. So yeah. These have no oil in them. So they're super springy, which I think is fine. I don't think oil is necessary. Honestly, for this scale of vehicle, really. It's a little wiggly. So yeah, these are internals. Oh my lord. Does look like you could probably put oil in them. Although I don't plan to. Now that is a thin spring. Wow, and these are also Endura. 32 mil internal spring shocks for SCX24 by Endura. And I did get 4 of them. I don't even know why I'd have to mention that. So, wow. Yeah, that should be way better. The truck shouldn't be so friggin' tall. And hopefully, these are skinny enough to nicely fit in here, I hope. It kind of depends on the brass pieces, but let's get started putting these on. Here's 2 more different springs. I'm pretty sure the silver one is medium. The copper one, the copper one is hard, or the stiffest spring. Yep, I've now confirmed copper is the stiff one. The gray one is probably the medium one. These copper pieces are also just smaller. Big bore ones have these humongous pieces because they're big bore. So judging off this, these should be perfect. And to put them on, I do want the mountain facing outwards. And I'm pretty sure this side is wider, and that part is not as wide, so I think that will go towards the truck. Start on the skinnier side of the ball joint. So just try and press it on there. Oh, there we go. Now you gotta go all the way back too, because it's not gonna go on the other way. There. Oh my god, dude. There, put that on. Oh my lord, grab another O-ring. Boom! There's one done. Nice. Now I just gotta do the other side. And it doesn't really matter because you can just rotate this. So it doesn't really matter which way you put that on. I'm gonna do the rest off camera now. Alright, I actually did swap it around. I'm pretty sure that's where the screw goes that way, and this will go against what it's screwing into. I swapped it around because on these flex extenders, you kind of have to I'm pretty sure you have to take the flex extender back off, and you have to just put the screw in that way into the flex extender. So you have to mount outwards, and have to be on it mounted like this. So I did 2 now. Nope, I didn't. I did half of them. All right, 2 are done. So I'm gonna take the off. Now the reason I got flex extenders was because these shocks are shorter, so they'll have less flex than the big tall ones. Dude, I should just get a proper screwdriver instead of using this friggin' Allen key that came with the thing. This is so dumb. Looks like all the screws it came with are the same length, so I'll just grab one. It does also look like they're quite a bit longer. There we go. The shock is backwards. What? There, now it's actually mounted correctly. I have to take the wheels off. Alright, I just found out that all the screws are not the same length. I think there's 2 different lengths. I could use the shorter one for that. So I'm going to undo it now. There, that doesn't stick out nearly as far. There it is, fully mounted with the flex extender. That is really cool. Alright, let's get the other one mounted. Now it does seem like you shouldn't have this screw right there too tight, because then it won't be able to rotate in here nicely, and the flex extender might not work well. You see how it's going down slowly? Yeah, you should be careful about that. Yeah, I'm gonna do the other side now. Man, you know, once I get the suspension, I want it. Oh, it still won't be done because I'm getting side plates for this thing. So that way I can have like the ESC here. I mean the receiver here, like off to the side. The ESC here, maybe off to the side, or just put it up here. So it's still not going to be done, but it'll be closer. It will be closer. All right, here's the situation. I messed up. Okay. The screw going into the aluminum here is pretty stiff. Okay. For whatever reason, it's pretty hard to screw through there. And for a little bit, I was cross-threading the screw. And, you know, I knew it would be stiff, so I just kept going. But it was stiffer than the other side, so I stopped. I noticed it was cross-threaded. I took it back out, went in straight, and the screw is stripped now. And there's nothing I can do to get it out. Unless I super glue a bit or something to the screw. Because that bit won't get it out now. Unless it will. It won't keep going. Nope, it won't. Nuts. Okay. Well, let me say this. Alright, the reason it's angled like that is because the flex extender on the left side is tighter. So I'm going to loosen it. Alright, so I was able to just lift the suspension all the way up and undo the screw. So now it's totally even, nothing gets stuck. Look at that. I might actually be able to just leave that as long as it's not in the way, but I'll probably get it out. It's gonna be pretty hard to though. I don't know. I think I'm gonna get all this front suspension in. Alright, already it seems like the suspension is gonna be too loose. It's all the way compressed, just sitting there like that. I might also take the ESC and receiver out because these parts are just getting in the way. Yeah, I'm gonna get going on the front suspension now. Alright, so by the looks of it, alright. In terms of me stripping out that screw, I have plenty extra. See all those over there? Plenty. Suspension is all on, and I gotta say that looks pretty good. But it is stupidly weak. It is not enough at all, especially in the rear with that spare tire. I mean, that is horrendous. And I have to get that screw out to change the suspension. But I think that's going to be pretty awesome. And I was a little worried I made one of these suspension extenders too stiff. Did I? No, I don't think so. But there's so much more weight on the front axle. It's going to be fine, dude. I just have to get that one screw in the rear out and change all the springs to, I'll try the second setting first and then the third. I think chances are I'm going to have to go right. I'm going to have to use the third one. But so far, that is pretty awesome, dude. 32 mil. I'm really curious to see. Yeah, I'm gonna focus on getting that screw out now. Alright, here's my plan to getting the screw out. My plan is to use this Allen key that came with it all and put super glue on the end of it, stick it in here, and try and get the screw out. That's my plan. Unless I can just get it out now with the... Nope. It is stripped. Let's get some super glue on the end of this. I got JB Weld super glue. I really like this stuff. It dries fast and seems to be pretty strong. So that's what I'm going to use once I pick up my Allen key. There we go. Alright, I just gotta sit in there because I'm gonna let it dry for a while. At least I don't have to hold it. I'll come back to that in a while. Dude, that suspension looks really cool. With all the shocks going inwards, inwards like that. I think that looks really good. I think that's gonna be pretty freaking awesome. Especially once I get those mounted where they need to be. And if you wonder what that super long wire is, that is a 6-inch servo extension. Because the stock servo extension wire is too short. I should have got a 3-inch one. I might replace it someday, but I have it tied up with a twisty tie, so that should be fine. No biggie. I'm gonna let that super glue dry. Be back. Gee, half hour? Oh, I guess. Alright, so I did wait 30 minutes, and I waited 30 minutes. It didn't work, so I took out the Dremel. And as you can see there, I made a flathead. I'm like, dude, I'm very confident this will work. Let's try it out. Get a nice flathead. Hopefully the screw doesn't break. Oh yeah, oh Jesus Murphys. Dude, the hole that I gotta go put the screw in is gonna be so messed up. Look at this. As long as I get the screw out, we should be okay. Dude, the screw is bent. Hopefully that hole is not going to be too messed up. And now because the screw is bent, it's stuck in the shock now. The hole the screw has to go into is going to be so messed up. You know what? I might just try and cut that end off. Ooh, that seems mega risky. Unless I can unscrew it. I don't think so. No. Jesus. Alright, I think I deserve the plaque of a Dremel master. Because not only was I able to cut the flathead in there, I was also able to cut the end of the... I had to cut the end of the screw off because it was bent. I did nick the brass ball joint a little bit, but that should be okay. And I nicked the battery tray up here. Not a huge deal. And one of the links. But at the end of the day, I got the screw out. So let's hope I can get another one back in. Bada bing, bada boom, dude. Wow. Disaster averted. Thankfully, it came with 1 billion extra screws. Holy cow. How awesome is that, dude? Those springs definitely have to be changed. Holy cow. They're so weak. But at least I got that problem solved. Alright. Now that I officially have those screws all the way on, I'm going to take them back out to put this different springs on. I'm going to use the silver ones because I'm pretty sure that's a medium. I could actually just go on the Endura website and look. Yep. Medium are the silver ones. Now because of the rear tire, spare tire, what springs are needed to wear could be different. Maybe. Alright. I'm gonna get the springs out. I probably showed you earlier, but just grab this black piece down here and twist off. It was already pretty loose. Uh-oh. Oh my lord, the shaft just fell out. There's a screw right there. It came undone, probably from the vibrations. But now we have another problem. I have to remember... Oh wait, that shouldn't be too hard. That'll go on there like this. And that'll go on there like this. Nope. That's nice and tight. Problem solved, we're good. Alright. Here's that super thin black spring. Here's a silver one. Let's try that out. Pop it inside. Grab the shaft of it. Oh, that is quite a lot stiffer. I think that's going to be good. Yeah, honestly, I may have slightly messed up the big bore shocks with the shock oil. I think these scale shocks are too small for shock oil. Or, well, maybe not, but you know, thinner than 10 weight. I remember I put 10 weight in one of them, which I'm pretty sure is good for like 10th scale crawlers. Alright, it's got something now. As you can see there. I'd like to go way further though. I think I'm gonna go for all out. I mean, that's better, dude. That's the, you know, although it's super bouncy, which isn't what you really want on 10th scale crawlers, I think it's fine, really. Should I go further? I think so. Maybe I'll leave it there. Not sure. I'll do the other side first, and then maybe I'll make up my mind. Alright, I got both silver springs in there. I'm kind of happy with the result. I feel like that'll be a good ride height for it. And you know, there is some suspension in it. Honestly, not stiff enough might be better than too stiff. So, you know, it flexes well. I think that'll be good. I think that's gonna be good, dude. Now the front. Well, so far it seems like the front end is higher. And judging by looking at the shocks, that it is. Well, right now it is. I think that's because of well, this side is sitting on the humongous steering knuckles, this side sitting on the diff. But there's also less weight in the front because of the spare tire. But the flex should be pretty strong for a 24th scale truck, I think. Right, I'd hope. Shoot, the flexor sander gets stiff there for some reason. Right, going down here. I don't know on what, but it gets stiff. I don't understand that, but let's put the wheels back on and see what happens, see how it looks. I took the electronics out, so they were just getting in the way. And I'm pretty unhappy with this. This is really squatted. There's a lot of extra weight in the rear, clearly. So in the rear, I might have to put those gold springs. But so do a flex test here. I don't have a flex test from before. That didn't seem too bad, honestly. Oops. So, as you know, so now I'm pretty happy with it, but I'm gonna wait for those side plates to come because, well, those could add some weight to the front. And this aluminum ESC weighs pretty much nothing. Same with the receiver, but I'm gonna wait to see what those weight that those add. See if it balances out the front. I might just have to put those gold springs in the rear anyways, but at least it's got suspension again. That's pretty awesome. But yeah, I think that'll be it for now. See you in the next one.